Good morning. I would like to thank the National Society of Cardiology to invite me to the prestigious meeting, and especially my friend Professor Leila Abid. I have no conflict of interest. I introduce myself. I'm Dr. Mariam DAMMAK. I am professor of neurology in Habib Bourguiba Hospital in Sfax, and I will discuss with you the stroke thrombolysis in African context. Why we discuss this subject? Simply because the stroke is ravaging the African continent. Its incidence continues to rise and it becomes endemic. This obliges us to take things seriously and take the necessary measures to face this danger. In fact, among neurological diseases, stroke constitutes the most common pathology. It mainly affects the elderly, but also affects an increasing number of young adults. Hypertension in Africa is the main modifiable risk factor. And stroke incidence is rising in tandem with both increasing the number of older people and increasing prevalence of modifiable vascular disease risk factors. Stroke leads to severe sequelae. It may generate, in addition to the motor handicaps, a significant cognitive impairment. Given the current demographic transition, prevalence of vascular dementia will like to rise. This review highlights improved patient outcomes through thrombolysis despite the limited studies on current evidence-based acute stroke care interventions in Africa. Hence, the need for policy support to routinize current best practice intervention for acute stroke care. This patient was thrombolyzed in our department. He's fully recovered after thrombolysis. This young man also was thrombolyzed, and you can see it can walk after thrombolysis. But thrombolysis therapeutic option is unfortunately not always available in Africa. And the study, which investigated the availability of different stroke-related service in 17 countries from different African regions, showed that although medications for secondary prevention are available, yet many other services are lacking in various countries. There is a lack of primary prevention programs. There is scarcity of national registers, and there is a lack of the stroke units, which reduce the availability of thrombolytic treatments. So therapy means varies from one country to another, and just a few African countries have all the necessary technical platforms to manage strokes in the acute stage. In Tunisia, stroke is the second cause of mortality after ischemic heart disease. When we consider handicap and mortality, it was the third in 2017 and became the second in 2019. Why? Because our population is older and the life expectancy increase in Tunisia, but mainly because the alarming increasing of prevalence of cardiovascular risk as hypertension. In Tunisia, we started thrombolysis in 2002 in the capital, in the National Institute of Neurology. In our department, we started 5 years ago, and we already thrombolized more than 250 patients. Unfortunately, the thrombectomy is only available in the capital. To improve healthcare in general, we need a strategy that takes into account several parameters like economical and environmental features. So in this paper, we discuss knowledge gaps, emerging priorities, and future direction of stroke medicine for people who live in Africa. The authors attest the scarcity of high-quality acute and acute care services, very low rates of thrombosis and thrombectomy, and few multidisciplinary stroke units. They propose a synergetic action by all stakeholders, including pharmaceutical companies and stroke experts, to improve the availability of services and increase the number of stroke units. The African Stroke Association look to reduce the burden of stroke in Africa. His values are based on the the African philosophy of inclusiveness, cooperation, and collaboration. We conclude that incidence of stroke continue to rise and become endemic in Africa. We know that thrombolysis improves patient outcomes, but therapeutic means varies from one country to another, and just few African countries have nowadays all the necessary technical platform to manage strokes in the acute stage. Thus, this obliges us to take the necessary measures to face this danger, and we need urgently for policy support and synergetic action by all stakeholders, including pharmaceutical companies and stroke experts, to improve the availability of thrombolysis and increase the number of stroke units. Thank you very much.